All right, I know this is fake. This is fake. Xi Jinping would say comrade, not citizen. This is fake. This is fake. The fake letter says, from Xi Jinping, Re, can you believe what we just did to Nancy? Citizen, just a few moments ago, we shot down Nancy Pelosi's plane. She's gone for all time. Sayonara. So imagine my surprise when I found out from our People's Liberation Army leaders that you still haven't donated. Now, chat, you linked me this, but for some reason, I've never seen this tweet. It's already liked by my account. I don't know how that happened. I would never like a tweet. That must have been an accident. I don't know what happened. I must have accidentally liked it on the other screen.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to excuse me.
All right, chat. Here's some more foreign policy shit. Apparently, a leader of Al-Qaeda was killed in Afghanistan.
After the 9/11 attacks, it took about 10 years for the United States government to get Osama bin Laden. They got him in May 2011.
Why are we watching Sam Cedar on MSNBC? Well, I'll tell you why. We're watching Sam Cedar on MSNBC because I want to see what the libs are saying about this. And I can't wait to see how warmongery they are. I guess I don't understand how Pelosi could put out a statement referring to Taiwan as a separate country. It didn't really. If you're being lawyerly, Sailor, it didn't say Taiwan is an independent country. It said Taiwan had a vibrant democracy. It didn't, you know. You could say that Pennsylvania has a vibrant democracy, right? Without technically saying that it's independent.
Now, as of tonight, we know it took another 11 years after that to get bin Laden's brain, to get the man who was bin Laden's number 2 in al-Qaeda at the time of 9/11, the man who took over as al-Qaeda's leader after bin Laden was killed by U.S. Navy SEALs. The string of attacks and murders attributed to Ayman al-Zawahiri is stomach-churning. He was the ideological mastermind behind the turn of al-Qaeda and groups like that toward indiscriminate mass murder of civilians anywhere, including Muslims, all in the name of Islamic piety. And how he got there, we now looking back at it, it seems like a straight shot. But if you sort of dropped in at him at any time in his biography, you wouldn't have known he was going there. He was trained as a doctor. He was a trained surgeon. He was from a respected family in Egypt, born and raised in Cairo. By the time he was 15 years old, he was a committed radical who wanted to try to impose Islamic theocracy by force. He formed his first terrorist cell with the aim of overthrowing the government of Egypt when he was all of 15 years old. When Islamic militant...
So, you know, this reminds me of something that Zizek said a couple years ago. I think it was back in 2006, so maybe it was 6 years ago, but where he said that where every time you see fascism, there's a failed revolution. And for this kind of like extreme right-wing Islamofascism or Islamism or whatever you want to call it, it was a defeat of a secular socialist pan-Arab nationalism. That's heart was in Syria. That's heart was in Iraq. That's heart was in Egypt. And whose heart was in a similar way, there was a Persian nationalism, secular leftist Persian nationalism in Iran. All of those were excessively targeted by the United States because if it was on even the center left in the developing world, the United States treated it like it was basically Maoists or Marxist-Leninists and fought to defeat it. And the U.S.'s support, both economic, military, diplomatic, for far-right groups, including in Egypt, has been key for their growth. So, like, you could, if you see Islamism spreading as an ideology in the world, that is a sign of the failure of secular leftism because, in large part, of the efforts of the colonialist powers, including the United States. That's just a fact of life. Pelosi is getting swarmed by crowds. CIA encouraged theocratic Islamist groups in Middle East as bulwark against the left. Exactly. Thank you for saying it so concisely. Maybe these might be people that are supportive of Taiwanese independence, which I think is what the right wing in Taiwan is now starting to assert. Stop saying the USA created the Mujahideen. This Sufi ideology is rooted from hundreds of years of Western imperialism and many attempts to modernize Islam. I didn't say the United States created the Mujahideen. I said the United States gave it diplomatic, military, and economic support, which is a direct reality. When you have all these competing ideologies, of course they have some sort of like support among the population. Just like there's hogs in America, there's also progressives in America. And if China came to the United States and gave $10 billion every year to the progressive left, and China sent in advisors and CIA and intelligence operatives to build these institutions and pumped billions of dollars of weapons and material into the hands of left-wingers in America, it would probably be stronger than if it didn't. Similarly, if Russia, when the United States pumped billions of dollars into these right-wing groups, it made them stronger. Wahhabism was funded by the Saudi government, which was propped up by the USA. Exactly. The CIA also provided funding to radical jihadists for decades. Exactly. Please stop telling me America bad. I can't take it. I won't. Exactly. I mean, guys, it's not America bad, by the way. America is just a government. It's a state, which represents interests, which are the bourgeoisie. Big fucking surprise. The bourgeoisie do evil shit in the world to maintain their power. Oh, are you surprised the global hegemon is behind most of the bad shit happening? No surprise. Shock. Does it mean that the bad shit is completely 100% attributable to the United States and only the United States? Nobody ever said that. It's a straw man. The one thing that worries me the most about China is that they will not step up to support leftism in other countries, which I think was the biggest mistake. Is China should be supporting left-wing movements all around the world. That's my biggest fear, is that they will rise to the occasion for the left in other countries. I think it's foolish to be so 100% realpolitik. That's just my opinion, but that's my fear of the future. This is not a pro-America take. I'm just clarifying that these ideologies stem Western imperialism way before communism showed up. In fact, modernization just means adopting Western values in the interest of saving cultural identity. I think they don't want to overreach to face isolation like the USSR. True.
And of course, we talked about collateral damage, killing family members, other associates, a challenge probably overdone, in my view. Then we get a target of such danger to the American people, those who are associated with them have a lesser degree of protection, in my view, than would be the unfortunate death of those children in Kabul, just as we pulled out. So they have to decide, what are we going to accept in collateral damage? And then they executed the process. And these remotely piloted vehicles now, I don't know where this one was flown from. The Air Force flies a lot of them from Nevada. So you got a 19-year-old airman and a lieutenant colonel sitting next to him. I've been there. And they're piloting a lethal vehicle 7,000 miles away. And they've got incredible clarity, generally speaking, to what they're doing. More so.
Bullshit. Why does MSNBC do this drone propaganda? This is wild. This is the left-wing fucking center-left network. And it's warmongering propaganda. Are you fucking kidding me?
Did assassinate Egypt's president, Anwar Sadat, at a military parade in 1981. Ayman al-Zawahiri was one of hundreds of Islamist radicals who was tried and imprisoned for that crime. He was tortured for years in Egyptian prisons. While he was there, he became an informant, supplying information on his comrades to the Egyptian security services. He was released from prison in Egypt in 1984, even more radical than when he had gone in. He nurtured the growth of his terrorist group, which he had literally founded as a teenager. It was called al-Jihad, or Islamic Jihad. He spent time after his release from prison in Saudi Arabia, in Pakistan, and Afghanistan. He eventually became close with a rich Saudi Arabian guy.
Man, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan. You mean the governments that have the closest alliance with American intelligence and military, covert military work? Oh, that's so odd. Huh. Weird.
Who in 1988 had founded his own terrorist organization. The Saudi guy was wealthy enough that he was able to bankroll much of their movement himself. He also had great connections all across the Arab world. He was a great recruiter to their cause. Ayman al-Zawahiri eventually became the Saudi guy's personal doctor, which gave them a personal bond beyond even their ideological.
Why did Pelosi say they were going to do why did China say they were going to do something to Pelosi and then do nothing? They didn't say that. They said there would be serious consequences. And those that play with fire often get burned or perish by it, depending on the translation. So they could do other types of consequences that are not killing Pelosi. I think assassinating Pelosi would have been a pretty provocative move, you know? That would have looked pretty unhinged. They said they would shoot down a fighter jet escort. No, they didn't. Some guy tweeted that. A drone strike in Kabul downtown with zero fucking collateral. The bullshit smells too strong here. Yeah, they're just lying. Why kill him now? They probably found him. I don't know. Also, good distraction from other shit.
Co-interests. After the two of them supplied and supported the Afghan Mujahideen fighters against the Soviet Union in Afghanistan, around 1990, they moved on to Sudan and on to Yemen to establish training camps there for international terrorists. At that time, though, Zawahiri was still really focused on trying to overthrow the government in Egypt. That was his lifelong dream. In November 1993, his group, Islamic Jihad, tried to assassinate the prime minister of Egypt. They failed in that assassination attempt, but they did wound and kill civilians instead. 2 years later, 1995, Egyptian Islamic Jihad blew up the Egyptian embassy in Pakistan, killed at least 15 people, wounded dozens of people. 2 years later, in 1997, Zawahiri helped plan the Luxor attack. This was a half-dozen gunmen descending on a big Egyptian tourist attraction just before 9 in the morning in November 1997. The gunmen, those 6 gunmen, spent 45 minutes methodically massacring the tourists at that tourist site in Egypt, including kids. People from Egypt, people from Colombia, people from Switzerland and the UK and Japan and Germany. 62 people murdered.
Notice, chat, they were from all the right countries, the countries that count. Those 62 people that were murdered, they were from white countries. Very important countries. Very important countries.
Zawahiri was the mastermind of that. That was 1997. In 1998, Zawahiri wrote what amounted to a declaration of war against America. He proclaimed that groups like his and his friend Osama bin Laden's group, Al-Qaeda, and all the Islamist terrorist groups, he proclaimed were all united as what he called the International Front Against Crusaders and Jews, not to put too fine a point on it. Zawahiri's declaration in February 1998 proclaimed it their mission to target America, to target the United States of America, and specifically to kill American people anywhere in the world. That was February 1998 that he wrote that declaration of war. Later that same year, in August 1998, they blew up the U.S. embassies in Tanzania and Kenya. More than 4,000 people injured, more than 200 people killed. Then in October...
Do you think we will go to war with China? Also, thank you for all you do. Love your morning news. Backflip Justin, if we went to war with China, that we would lose, and it would be probably the extinction thing of humanity. That is, the United States blundering us into war with China is probably my number one human extinction fucking like scenario. Some dumb fat fucking American president, some dipshit moron with a dick that doesn't work, getting us into a war with fucking China and killing us all. The last boomer president, God knows when that'll be. They'll be turned into fucking cyborgs. We'll have a boomer president in 2125 because they won't fucking retire as a generation. They won't fucking die. I swear to God, boomers are going to invent immortality just so they never, ever give up the reins of power. Jesus Christ. I'm surprised they haven't invented it yet. I fucking hate Maddow. This should be left to eternal affairs, or should Vietnam, Laos, Cuba go after Kissinger with a drone strike without retribution? Kissinger has been responsible for millions of deaths. All I could say is that if there was a drone strike on Kissinger, Kissinger, I don't think the United States should retaliate. I think the United States should say, understandable. I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying if it happened, they shouldn't react.
2000, they hit the USS Cole, a guided missile destroyer, while it was being refueled in Yemen. 17 U.S. sailors killed, 37 injured. The year after that, in June 2001,
What I find so interesting about these lib history lessons, which is what this is how it's just listen, I don't support these groups. They are right-wing fascists. They're Islamo-fascists, they're theocrats, they're pieces of garbage. But there's very little of a discussion of what the United States was doing with its overt and covert foreign policy in this region. It's just like Al-Qaeda did a terrorist attack, and then 2 years later, Al-Qaeda did another terrorist attack. And then 10 years later, they did it. And it's like, is that history?
Al-Qaeda, bin Laden's group, formally absorbed Zawahiri's group, Islamic Jihad. He and Osama bin Laden, from that point forward, were no longer just fellow travelers and compatriots. Now, as of June 2001, Al-Qaeda was it. Zawahiri was bin Laden's second in command. And also, informally, his brain, his strategic thinker, his ideological guide, his doctor, the chief operating officer of Al-Qaeda. 2 days before the
Chief operating officer. You can tell it was made by the CIA. They have fucking corporate titles.
9/11 attacks, in an operation masterminded by Zawahiri, a man named Ahmed Shah Massoud was assassinated. He was the leader of the Northern Alliance in Afghanistan. He was the strongest leader in that country opposed to the Taliban. Zawahiri
I wonder who assassinated him.
wiped him out on September 9th, 2001, doing a huge favor to the Taliban, indebting the Taliban to himself, essentially. And then 2 days later, of course, they rained down hell on the United States of America on September 11th, 2001, in Pennsylvania, in New York City, at the Pentagon. This was the first wanted poster put out for Ayman al-Zawahiri after 9/11. This is from October 2001, just weeks after the attack. You see the reward for information leading to his capture at that point was $5 million. That would soon quintuple to a $25 million reward, the largest reward offered for anyone on Earth.
Why so low? Why not, we spend $800 billion on the military. Why not just say $1 billion for this guy's fucking death? It's cheaper than the fucking F-35. Don't forget, Pervez Musharraf was educated at American Evangelical College when he successfully couped Pakistan in 1999 with the support of the U.S. and supposedly hit Osama bin Laden and many wanted terrorists. Yeah, of course.
After a U.S. Navy SEAL mission in 2011 took out Osama bin Laden, Zawahiri became the head of Al-Qaeda. And at that point, Zawahiri became literally the most wanted terrorist on the FBI's list of most wanted terrorists. And you can see, if you look at the two different wanted posters, you can see that over 20 years plus, while the reward did go up, they didn't change the photo of him. They didn't change much about what they knew about him or how to advise people to find him. But tonight there is an update. Tonight they've updated the poster at long last. This was just changed this evening as we were prepping to get on the air. Put a big red deceased across the bottom of it now. What we know is this.
Wow.
Ayman
Terrorist is dead. Ooh, Dark Brandon!
al-Zawahiri was back in Afghanistan, which itself is a story. He was in a well-off neighborhood in the capital city of Kabul.
Oh, he was in a rich neighborhood in Kabul. I wonder why.
The New York Times and the Washington Post are reporting that the house where he was killed was owned by a senior member of the Taliban government known for having links to Al-Qaeda. The man's name is Haqqani, which is a familiar name when it comes to kidnappings and terrorist attacks and mass murder in Afghanistan over the past 20-plus years. While the
The
U.S.
best way to apply to be a moderator is to be extremely active in the community in all aspects. Discord, text chat, you know, that's the best way. Tie to a missile and send it to the suburbs. I'm ready. I'm just saying.
military no longer has anyone in Afghanistan. The U.S. government was apparently able to obtain intelligence on Zawahiri's whereabouts dating back for several months. They were specifically able to get information on the pattern of life at the house where they knew he was staying, dating all the way back to April. And the reason that's important, the reason they were watching the pattern of life at that house was both to confirm that he was there, but also to try to find the right way and the right window to get him without getting anyone else, to get him and get him alone. President Biden was briefed in detail on the prospects for a drone strike hitting that house. The intelligence community reportedly built a physical model of the house that they wanted to hit. They used that physical model to show the president their intentions and to brief the president on how the mission might unfold. President Biden said in remarks to the nation tonight that he gave the order a week ago that they could strike when the right time and the right circumstances arose. Those right circumstances and that right time apparently arose.
This is literally just a DOD or a CIA PR memo being read by MSNBC, just straight up into the teleprompter, or straight off the teleprompter into the camera. So uncomfortable, man. Like, we don't have an anti-war segment of our politics. It's just violent psychopaths. God damn it, dude. Who do you vote for if you don't like war? Well, there's one candidate you can vote for, chat. All right, I know this is fake. This is fake. Xi Jinping would say comrade, not citizen. This is fake. This is fake. The fake letter says, from Xi Jinping, re, can you believe what we just did to Nancy? Citizen, just a few moments ago, we shot down Nancy Pelosi's plane. She's gone for all time. Sayonara. So imagine my surprise when I found out from our People's Liberation Army leaders that you still haven't donated. Now, chat, you linked me this, but for some reason, I've never seen this tweet. It's already liked by my account. I don't know how that happened. I would never like a tweet. That must have been an accident. I don't know what happened. I must have accidentally liked it on the other screen.
Saturday night, just before 10 p.m. Eastern, which was just after 6 a.m. Sunday morning in Kabul. It was reportedly 2 Hellfire missiles fired from a CIA-operated drone. It has been 20 years and 10 months since Al-Qaeda killed 3,000 Americans on U.S. soil in the 9/11 attacks. It took 20 years and 10.
Honestly, chat, like, can we stop talking about 9/11? Like, I knew people who died in 9/11, and using their fucking lives to justify this military-industrial complex and this infinite war machine is now disgusting at this point. Like, can you stop? I think the best thing we could do would be to, you know, build up our country so that it's something that we're proud of. You know, rein in the CIA so they stop building these fucking terror organizations all over the world. Jesus Christ.
That's Praxis.
Thank you, Between Two Rocks, for the 5 gifted subs. Appreciate you.
10 months to get the 2 guys who ran Al-Qaeda during that attack.
That's Praxis.
Astonishingly, the leader of the Republican Party, the party's last president and their likely next presidential nominee, said just this weekend that, quote, nobody's gotten to the bottom of 9/11. He literally said that this weekend. Nobody's gotten to the bottom of 9/11. What was that all about? Well, it took 20 years and 10 months, but actually somebody definitively has gotten to the bottom of 9/11.
Are you watching the stream unsubbed? You're making income inequality worse. You are doing anti-praxis. We are the only Twitch stream that will not accept scam advertisers, and I will never fuck you over by selling you crap.